Hey, welcome in. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. Become a diehard. Go PHNX.com. Pick up a free hat and or shirt every single year. I'm diehard for this man. To my right, it's Brack live at the PHNX headquarters in downtown Phoenix. And speaking of Phoenix, Jonathan Gannon, Monti Ossenfort, holding court today in Tempe. Brack, you were there live and in person. What did the Cardinals brass have to say?
Well, before I get into that, let me welcome all 180 plus in the chat right now, including my long lost brother, Brack. He's in the chat. I see Jack. I see Fitz like a glove. Nick, what's up? Easy No Steroids. Mikey, Desert Cardinal. Ollie, all of you out there, welcome to the show. Drop a like. Absolutely. And yeah, we got to hear from the Brain Trust today. And Johnny, first and foremost, I thought it was, I guess, refreshing to hear how transparent their general manager was, Monti Ossenfort, as far as the 4th overall pick and his willingness to potentially trade down.
Yeah, I think I expected a little bit more reservation. Like, hey, we're going to keep our options open, X, Y, and Z. That's not what we got. It was very much like, give us a call. People are calling. I mean, we're going to get to the clip here in a little bit. You point blank asked the Cardinal GM, like, are things picking up? And he goes, yeah, Bo, things are picking up and they're going to continue to pick up. So I think, I don't know if you're in the camp, MHJ, Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Cardinals, you were taken aback by today, like we are, but I don't think today eased any concerns for the people who don't want to trade out. I think today is putting it very much in the camp of, if they're offered a massive package by the Giants or the Vikings, they're going to consider it. Like, they're not putting out any fires with regard to that. Now, it still very well could lead to Marvin Harrison Jr., 4th overall pick. He talked about MHJ, did Monty and JG. We're going to get to that. But I mean, what I put the percentages on yesterday, like 65-35, Marv would be a Cardinal. Am I willing to go up to like,
oh my God,
45-55? No, I'm going to stay at my current percentage. 65% Marv's a Cardinal, 35% it's a trade down.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the Marvin Harrison freaks out there, including myself, like, I think there's some things that Monti Ossenfort said that you could take some solace in. They can make you feel a little bit warmer and cozier inside instead of just freaking out that it's inevitable that Monti Ossenfort is, as you said, just going to take the Godfather deal and sell his soul for a trade down, a historic haul potentially with the Minnesota Vikings or whoever the highest bidder or the best deal is. If it's the Giants to just move down 2 spots, it's whoever's willing to pay the price to get up the board to select whatever quarterback prospect they want. It looks like all signs are pointing to J.J. McCarthy at this point, but it could change to a Drake May. But the things that we're going to get into today and some of the clips that we have from J.G., he addresses as far as where Paris Johnson Jr.'s future is on the offensive line, newly signed Jonah Williams, where he's going to play potentially next week. We get answers from J.G. kind of on that. And then Monti Ossenfort talking about the potential of a trade down and how the Cardinals feel about Marvin Harrison Jr. opting out not only of the combine, but the pro day today in Columbus. Cardinals, according to Josh Weinfuss of ESPN.com, Johnny, had one lone scout there in Columbus, but there wasn't a whole lot to watch. I mean, most of the guys outside of Marvin Harrison Jr. went back on sweetheart NIL deals, and the big-time prospects out of like Michael Hall Jr. Weren't performing.
Yeah, shout out to our friends at CHGO Bears. They were at Caleb Williams Pro Day in California, repping Caleb Williams as he, threw the ball over the yard. Cardinals and, my counterpart to my right, who knows, would have been in Columbus if Marvin Harrison Jr. was working out today. Nothing to see there. I mean, there's more action going on at like McNeese State's Pro Day. I'm sorry, there's just Ohio State, I think it's kind of an in vogue thing, which is unfortunate, but Marv is playing by his own rules this draft season. And like, love it or hate it, if he's drafted by the Arizona Cardinals, like, it's going to be the first time many of us have set eyes on him in literally 6 months. Now, he's very active on Twitter, which is great to see. Like, we know he's alive. He's out there. He's participating on the Twitter streets, which is great to see. But, like, real tangible football for Marvin Harrison Jr., at least during the pre-draft process, it does not exist. Marvin Harrison Jr. is an enigma in the pre-draft process. So, again, like, if the good news is if you're the Cardinals and you've settled on Marvin, you don't have to worry about anything else. You don't have to go make a token appearance at the pro day. You don't have to go and give a bunch of corporate speak from the team saying we're going to do X, Y, and Z. It's like, no, let's just move on to pick 27 and 35. The problem is I don't think they've made that decision. Certainly. I think all options are on the table right now.
Yeah, and it's going to get hairier and hairier as we draw closer to draft day, and you'll hear from the man Monti Ossenfort himself. But Florio said that Marvin Harrison Jr. is giving himself a disservice here. He's now moving down teams' draft boards.
Yeah, Mike Florio, who continues to bat about 0 this offseason. He was incorrect on his Kirk Cousins prediction. He just yelling things out into the ether. Yeah. So I mean,
just yelling at clouds.
Yeah, he and RG3, man. RG3 saying like the Bears can't support Caleb Williams. Bears roster offensively looks pretty good. Here's the problem is I'm into player empowerment. Guys, go get your money, but also like this is the NFL, and if you're drafted typically to a team in the top 10, one of two things is true: the team wasn't very good last year, and you're a really good player, and you're going to help said team. Like we're not just going to allow draft picks to sign wherever they want. That's what free agency is for. So. Marvin, if the Cardinals want, here's the best part. Take solace in this. Cardinals want Marvin. Smart people involved with the Cardinals now. Guess what? He's going to be wearing an Arizona Cardinal uniform. That's it.
Yeah. And like the just standard operating procedure of being open for business for anything, like if somebody just blows you away, that's good business, right? It's not, hey, we love Marvin Harrison Jr. We think he's a generational prospect too. But if a team comes to us like the Minnesota Vikings, who just acquired the ammunition to get up the draft board, we're not gonna just shut them down as soon as Kwesi hits up my cell phone. I'm not just gonna be like, sorry, we like Marv. No thanks. No, I don't even want to hear you out. Like exploratory conversations, that's what GMs should be about. It shouldn't just be like, we're set on this guy, thanks, but we're gonna just move forward. That's bad business, and I can appreciate it from Monti Ossenfort having that, taking that stance, even though it makes me feel uneasy. I want Sweet Baby Marv.
No, you're not going to get him at least until late April. I thought we'd be able to do a big parade after, presumably New England made their plans and certainly the Commanders. No, like our mood has shifted significantly to, will the Cardinals have a chance to draft Marv to, are the Cardinals really going to pass on Marvin Harrison Jr.? And it's not for a singular prospect. It is for a bounty of picks. Before we get to some of these clips from today's presser with Mr. Brack, let's get to some of these super chats. One to kick off from our guy, Blowbrock, $1.99. All right, Johnny, whose face is getting busted on today?
Oh, man.
We're busting faces like this.
You don't
like
want it to bust in their face, like the trade proposal, right? That's what you were talking about yesterday.
The old trade busting in
their
face. No, we can't. We appreciate it, though. We appreciate who clipped that yesterday. It was good. That's good promotion for the show. Illadre, $1.99. Best Cardinals podcast or best podcast for Cardinals content. We appreciate
Thank you. Illadre, we appreciate you. How about Charlie jumping in? $1.99 super chat. Thank you, Charlie. He joined us yesterday, sticking around. Chargers.
He's a friend of the program now. He's ingratiated.
Yeah, of course. And it's music to his ears saying, love the trade talk from Monty, good general manager. It's because he's sitting there at 5 saying, come to Papa. Come to bring Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Bolts.
You know what I saw today on Twitter that goes in line with that? After that was posted on PHNX Cardinals, a Cardinal fan went off for like 3 or 4 sentences about how emotionally draining this is, and we can't pass on Marvin. This is going to be terrible. A Charger fan right below him, I think either with a Marv cropped as a Charger or a Keenan Allen icon, basically goes, yeah, that'd be a damn shame. Yeah. They've already started. Charger fans have already slid underneath the door and are ready to plunge if the Cardinals opted to make a move. And that's it. Listen, if I was a Charger fan, I'd be rooting for this too. I'd be excited about this.
That's what we've been rooting for, the top 3 teams in the draft to go quarterback. So Marv could fall right into the lap of the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, that's what we've been doing for the bulk of draft season is trying to have the Cardinals get positioned in order to have Marvin fall into their lap. It's happened. And now that doesn't guarantee that MHJ is going to be in the desert catching passes from Kyler Murray this next season and beyond. It's crazy.
Jeremy Bailey, I love this icon, this avatar. Oh, crying face Johnny. $2 super chat. Malik Neighbors out of LSU equals awesome consolation prize on a trade down. I think you trade down with the Giants. I mean, is it all but assured? I don't know if the Cardinals like Malik Neighbors, though. But I mean, like, if you're just going off of the best players in the draft, and you trade down from 4 to 6, and the Vikings come, or the Giants come up, we stiff arm the Vikings, they're out of here, and you get, let's say, the Giants' second and third rounders, which is what we projected, and you pass on Marvin, you get Malik Neighbors, right, who a lot of people think Anquan Bolden vibes, Jamar Chase vibes, and then you add 2 day 2 picks. Again, like, I think most Cardinal fans would take that and the assurance of at least Malik Neighbors and a couple picks this year over the Vikings package, which I think speaks to the insecurities we all have of exiting round 1 without a bona fide big play ass kicking number 1 receiver.
Right. They want that sex appeal, right? They want the picks, but they're scared that it's all going to be reinvested in the trenches. Now, that's great team building.
It is.
It's not that sexy.
Very logical.
Like, to get that sports car that's souped up and ready to just make big time plays. And I'm just mixing all sorts of different analogies here. But regardless, like, if you get a big time playmaking wide receiver, that's why people, when they saw Daniel Jeremiah's haul, even though everybody, including this show, disagreed with what the trade package was, but the 3 selections they got in the first round, including Brian Thomas Jr., people eased back and said, okay, I'm a little bit better with this, moving out of a position to get Marv, because they got a big time playmaking wide receiver, because this roster severely needs one. People understand that, and they want more of a sure thing than Xavier Legette in his country accent in the 3rd round.
Don't do my boy like that.
Oh, shucks.
Xavier Legette with MHJ, then you're cooking. Biscuits and Bears.
Get out there and catch passes from Kyler Murray. What do you think?
What if they draft him? He showed up at his presser. And
a little
more twangy,
more Alabama than South Carolina, I think. There.
Will he have the accent depending on where he gets drafted?
Say that again.
Will he have the accent depending on where he gets drafted? Like,
probably.
If he comes to Arizona or he goes to the Chargers, he probably doesn't have that accent. Mm-hmm. But if he goes to like Dallas or Houston, New Orleans, probably has the accent. Probably keeps it. Tennessee.
Big time hey y'all guy if he gets to any of those. Yeah. Tennessee, maybe even down in New Orleans.
Biscuit and Bear, $10 super chat. Hypothetically, if we do trade down and win a Super Bowl in the next 3 years, but MHJ gets Rookie of the Year and is on a Pro Bowl 8 straight years on the team he's on with a Super Bowl win, do we make it? Wow, a lot of hypotheticals there. We do appreciate the $10 super chat. Thank you, Biscuit.
Pretty simple. It's pretty simple. I mean, if the Cardinals pass on MHJ, but they win, and then also Marvin Harrison Jr. turns out to be the player that we think he's capable of being, perennial Pro Bowler, just an absolute stud, do you make it? And I think absolutely. No doubt about it.
No.
Sign me up right now.
Because the Cardinals do the trade knowing that that's probably a reality on the ladder.
Yeah, what's the cure-all? Winning. It doesn't matter what it looks like. People will sign up today for that.
But that's the caveat, and you just said it. They cannot go into this year being content with 6-7 wins.
Right.
If you pass on, like, it's, say what you want, the mindset of the fan base will change exponentially. You have all those picks now. You need to make the most of them. And there's no reason to believe that they won't after last year's resume. But again, having a nice end of the year, 4 to 6 week stretch with K1 is different than, we have to beat Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan, something we have not done before with Jonathan Gannon and Monti Ossenfort. So Marvin Harrison Jr. is the sex appeal. And if you don't sell us on sex appeal and you sell everybody else on conventional team building that leads to immediate results, those results need to be immediate this year.
I agree. How about Ben, the Cardinals fan, jumping in $2 super chat? We have a top 30 with the short king, Xavier Worthy. He's not short. He's a little thin. I wouldn't say he's short. He's what, about 6'1", right? 6 feet. The receiver out of Texas who ran the 4.21 40.
He's 160. I know that.
Yeah, he's a little light, soaking wet.
Slim King.
6'1".
Yeah, 6'1". Yeah, Slim Shady out there running routes. It might be
5'11" actually at the combine. 6'1" was his listed height.
Oh, Johnny's out.
I mean, is it just Hollywood Brown again? Here's what would concern me for Cardinal fans. Brendan Rice, top 30 visit. We're going to talk about that.
That concerns you?
Well, here's what I'm saying. Meet with a lot of wideouts, right? So you're either of the mindset that they're going to take 2 or they're going to take 1 later. later.
They can't just take one.
Well,
have you seen their right now? Their roster has 4 wide receivers.
You're banking on them taking Marvin and one of these other. These are not fringe players. These are guys that are going to go in the top 100.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want MHJ and you see all these extra workouts, you're banking on them taking 2 top 100 receivers, maybe 2 top 80 receivers.
Well,
which I'm all for.
Yeah, but with the trade down being significantly in play, you have to be prepared. Like, okay, well,
right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. But also, I think it's still in play if you take MHJ at 4th overall.
I would do that, absolutely.
Yeah, of course you are. You're insane. You're a mad scientist.
You want to do 4 and 35? I'm doing 4 and 35. Ryan Corley, $2 super chat. This came out this afternoon. Do Terry's allegations change the perception, Bo, of Michael Bidwill? Would you care to shed some light on this comment from Ryan and then your opinion on the matter?
Yeah. So what was it? The Associated Press dropped a story today that one of the guys leading the charge in the allegations against Cardinals owner and president Michael Bidwill, former employee Terry McDonough, was he arrested on allegations of assault? And I think when you looked at this guy's scattered past before, and you looked at the report, I think that him being at kind of the point on this, it does kind of weaken their case as far as who this guy is, and he's certainly got issues, but I don't think it's going to go away by any means, because there's more people that have come forward. There's been 2 reports now, one from ESPN and one from The Athletic. It's just it does weaken McDonough's strength of his case, especially with kind of the wrongful termination standpoint of it, and him coming in so hard in the paint almost a year ago.
I don't think it changes the perception of Bidwill as it relates to Michael Bidwill. Approved a lot of bad hirings of some people that did some shady stuff during this era of Cardinal football. That includes former GM Steve Keim, guys who, it's been proven now, broke the law on multiple occasions, holding high executive authority positions for the Arizona Cardinals. Now everything moving forward is under Ossenfort's kind of foresight with Michael Bidwill hand in hand. Like football people, they hired a couple of new external executives. The good news is they've got external people looking at this franchise for the first time. And certainly there's been enough about NFLPA grades and articles written by Josh Weinfuss in The Athletic about how they treat their employees. So I think Michael Bidwill is on the right track. I think he's got a long way to go to change perception, fair or not. But I think the people that were empowered for the past 10 to 15 years, there's a lot of skeletons in the closet that, like, I think Cardinal fans are just aware of, that we're just at this point, it's just kind of, we're numb to this. Like, of course this went on. Of course these people have this reputation. Like, how many times are you going to call a spade a spade? Like, bad people can do bad things to other people, and to equally bad people, if that makes sense. That doesn't make anybody exonerated of anything else. So I probably didn't do the best job explaining that, but it's a very tumultuous time for their leadership.
No doubt about it. Thank you, Blow Brock, again for the $4.99 super chat. We got our guy Virgil jumping in with a $4.99 super sticker. And then Charlie jumping in with a $1.99 super chat. Let's see that one. Charlie, Breer article today has a lot of Minnesota New York Giants trade. What is that?
Talk. Yeah.
Talk. Okay.
So Albert Breer had an article today basically mentioning that the Giants and the Vikings are both interested in going up and getting somebody at 4. Yeah. And I think if you're Monti Ossenfort, that's the exact kind of sandbox you want to be playing in. You want to be playing in the sandbox of, you guys pitted against each other. If I go down to 11, it's got to be worth it, because I can go down to 6 and get a premium wide receiver. So I don't know. The more teams you get involved in negotiations and pitting them against each other, I would say the more likely scenario is they trade down. Yeah. If it's just one team, like it was last year, like we always question, like, who is Houston bidding against for the rights for Will Anderson Jr.? It felt like they were bidding against nobody. But in all actuality, Bo, it's like this year, if you got 2, maybe 3 teams bidding on pick 4, do you think they're sticking and picking? I think that becomes less likely.
Right. I mean, if it's the Giants, you really put yourself in a position to not only continue to add to your draft capital and future draft capital, because I think that's where Monti Ossenfort really gets intrigued, because he's got so much already in this draft, 11 picks, right? But if he can secure some future capital, it gives him, ammo to navigate this draft even more so, and future drafts when this team is already in a much better place, when they're able to add 6 top 100 picks or potentially more to infuse this roster with talent. They've certainly done it in free agency, and we talked to the Brain Trust earlier today about that as well. I do love this. Where was that super chat? Florio loved Madam Web. I love that it was a nice little chat addition there. No doubt about it. Florio most likely did love Sydney Sweeney's performance in Madam Web.
Let me read this comment here from Virgil. He said, I messed up the super chat. So we're going to make sure his comment gets read here. Are we the ones taking MHJ stock? Sims and Monty are friends. Maybe get him at 6. I don't think there's any way the Chargers pass on Marvin Harrison Jr. at 5. I would love to be wrong. I think that would be the most masterful, reputation on the table. You trade down, you still get him, you get a bunch of picks. But I just feel like if you trade down, you're basically coming to the reality, Virgil, that MHJ is not going to be there for you. Yeah. You don't deserve him at that point. I don't think the Malik Neighbors, as good as he is, find me somebody who will come out and say like he is unequivocally better than Marvin Harrison Jr. Because
they're talking heads all over the country that are trying to,
but not them. I mean, real NFL people that because as polarizing as it is for Monty to trade down and pass on him, Bo, how about the general manager that just straight passes on him for another wide receiver,
right?
And the weight that would come with that.
Sims has Brian Thomas Jr. above Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah. Sims, that's the brilliance of Sims. Like you have to take the good with the bad, right? I love obviously his takes on Jalen Hurts, and his quarterback rankings always make me laugh. And he's a big supporter of Kyler Murray, which I could appreciate. You don't see at the national level that often, but Sims has been there the entire time. But then he comes out and he drops this like, hey, here's who I see, like Neighbors as a top flight prospect. And then he also had Thomas Jr. in that, right? As far as tiers, the 2 LSU receivers. And then he had is going to be a good pro, Marvin Harrison Jr. And then Rome Odunze, way down the list too. So not short on polarizing takes, our old buddy, Chris Sims, no doubt about it. But I've seen some other great super chat, or not super chats, but just everybody lighting it up in the chat today. It's tough to keep up.
It is. Blowbrock's back, $4.99. He says Breer earlier today said he's confident Cards stick and pick Marvin. I would take solace in that. Very tapped in with the Ohio State program. Very tapped in with the Patriots. But again, I would not feel confident until a deal is either done with the Patriots or, really they get on the clock and pick them. Yeah. I think the days of us being able to celebrate pre-draft Marvin coming to Arizona, I think those are dead. I think we have to wait now, because we were under the impression we left the combine with Elliott Wolf's comments. It's like, oh man, the minute the Patriots trade down, we're good. We're set. Let's have a party. Now it's like, oh no, is that going to be the Cardinals? Are we going to have to wait this whole time? We're going to be waiting.
How about this MBMD jumping in with the super chat? 279 Canadians spending loonies and toonies here. What happens to Prater's statue if we trade down? Oof. He's still the hero that we need. He's still the hero that the Valley needed. He missed those kicks. He fell on the sword. Matt Prater is still a hero to me, even if they pass on the chance to get Marvin Harrison Jr.
I agree with that. I think they get 3 first-rounders or Malik Neighbors and a bunch of extra picks. You still give the guys flowers privately, not publicly.
If I'm ever in same watering hole as Matt Prater and I see him across the bar, drinks on me. Matt Prater. He's not buying it. If I'm in the same bar as him or establishment, I'm always paying for his drinks. He missed not 1 but 2 kicks that he's fully capable of making.
What you're saying is you see Prater in the bar, you're open for business then.
Yeah, I'm open for business, my guy.
All right. You're open for business, as was Monti Ossenfort. Let's hear from the GM today earlier on the Arizona Cardinals pre-draft process.
Be a big neon sign that says open, and we'll I don't like it blinking. That kind of messes with my eyes, but yeah, we're always going to be listening. I think we'll always have the conversation. We may not get to a point where the deal makes sense, whether it's at 4 or anywhere we're picking, but we're always going to have the conversation, and if it makes sense and if it's attractive to building our team, and then it's something that we'll certainly consider no matter where we're at in the draft.
I mean, that's called being a good general manager. I mean, as much as I would like, hey, we have a player we love. I think it makes sense as far as us going forward. We can couple him with our quarterback. They're never going to say that, actually. But for him to come out and say, just we're always open for business, that does more for you as far as what you're trying to accomplish going into April 25th in the rest of the draft than it would to say, hey, we're just going to shut things down and we've got a prospect that we like in the top 5, and we're just going to stick and pick and take him.
Yeah, nobody comes out and says, like, we're good. We're fine. Like, even the Bears today, they still have to play coy with, we like a couple guys. And it's like, no, you're going to take Caleb Williams. Like, no Cardinals. Like, we feel pretty confident the Cardinals have Marvin Harrison Jr., the number 1 overall player on their board. Gannon's a huge fan of his game. I mean, they like a lot of players. I like Joe Alt, right? They like this tackle class in general. I don't know if they're going to be in on some of these second-tier wide receivers if they trade down in Neighbors or Adunze, but we know they really like Marv. They've been talking about Marv. They've been doing their homework. They spent probably all college football season, half of it in Columbus, right? They have a relationship with Ryan Day after taking Paris Johnson Jr. last year. With that being said, though, like, it's irresponsible for not to pass on Marv. It's irresponsible to not listen to a team that's desperate, sell their soul for JJ McCarthy. You just have to do it.
Right. That's not a bad move by you. It's probably, the team pulling off the deal on the other end of it. I mean, they're the one all the pressure's on them and the quarterback that they deem worthy of a historic haul. When we talked to Monti Ossenfort in Indianapolis at the Combine, he said that his phone hadn't rang yet as far as the 4th overall pick. But as we know, as we've been discussing heavily on this podcast, on this show, Minnesota Vikings kind of changed everything where they acquired another 1st-round pick. And Monti Ossenfort said, he's gotten a little bit more action on his phone. This is the Cardinals GM elaborating on that a little bit more.
A little bit more action, Bo. Yeah, a little bit more action. So, I'd say those phone calls are starting to pick up a little bit. I would say they'll probably continue into next week when we go down to Florida for the owners' meetings. I think most teams are in a similar spot to us and starting to finalize their boards, and the pro day piece is kind of the final on-field piece for evaluation purposes. So I would imagine some of those conversations will continue to pick up. But honestly, they probably will not get real serious until we get right up until the week of the draft, similar to last year. So they have definitely picked up, but I would expect that to continue here for the next month.
Buckle up. That's basically what he's saying there. I mean, also what he said was we may not always get where the deal makes sense. He's just keeping his phone line open, right? He also said, he mentioned the reporter that asked the question by name. Did anybody catch that?
Yeah, that was
Donnie Druin, I think is what he said. Hey, Donnie.
No, he said, hey, Bo, right? Just so, are we keeping count? Are we keeping score as far as Cardinals GM and head coach mentions of the people on this show?
I think we can say confidently, like, Monty likes you more and Gannon likes me more. Can we just stick with that?
Cool. All right.
Can you guys maybe set up a time to hang out or something? Maybe grab a brew.
Like I'm hanging out with Monty.
Yeah.
And then we're going to bring JG and JV together.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if we want to hang out with those guys.
We're pretty fun. We're pretty fun guys. We had this interview. Somebody else was also there. It was a good time. We're going to get back to
I feel like I was kind of fifth wheel on that.
We're going to talk. I want to talk about the owner meetings. You're going to be there next
Mhm.
week, and we're going to talk about the likelihood of a deal getting done then. But first, I'm going to tell you about a deal right now with our friends at BetMGM. It's the deal of the year, baby. Suns got a matchup tonight. You want to dabble with $1,500 up to in bonus bets? Well, you got to dabble with our friends. You guessed it, at BetMGM with the bonus code PHNX. Download the BetMGM Sportsbook app on your iOS or Android device, or check them out. I love pulling up BetMGM.com, seeing all the props, all the picks, whatever you want to do it with our friends at BetMGM. Sign up and deposit. So this is the thing. You can deposit at least $10, right? And if your wager loses, you're getting $10 back in bonus bets. You can deposit and bet up to $1,500. And if your bet loses, you get $1,500 in bonus bets. That's how it works. 100, 200, 500, up to 1,500. It loses. Once your initial wager is settled, you get your bonus bets. No question to ask. But you got to sign up with BetMGM, and you got to use the bonus code PHNX. And I think, Bo, this is not just for new customers. This is for pre-existing customers. Check them out, but you got to use the bonus code PHNX on their mobile app or online at betmgm.com. Again, at least 10, up to 1,500. And if it loses, like the Suns have been doing, you're going to get those bonus bets. But regardless, check out the show notes for full details. And now listen to my dear friend, Shane Diefenbach, talk about it in the disclaimer.
Bonus bets expire in 7 days. One new customer offer only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY, 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus only. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only. Subject to eligibility requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. See BetMGM.com for terms. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, North Carolina, Ontario, or Puerto Rico.
I spun the wheel as well. They've got a great March Madness wheel spinning game.
So did I.
Yeah, you got a little bit. So you spin the wheel and then you get a team participating in the tournament. And if they win, do I get something?
Yeah. So there's like $100,000 in bonus bets that they're going to hand out to anybody who spun the wheel on that team, and I think they'll divvy it up equally.
Yeah.
So what was your squad again?
I got Samford.
Samford against Kansas, 14 versus a
That's tough.
13 versus a 4 there, and then I got McNeese 12 versus a 5 in Gonzaga.
Yeah, that's a hot, trendy game that people like McNeese over the Zags, but still a tough matchup. Not a slam dunk, but what's a slam dunk is the Arizona Lottery and the fun you can have playing their new promotion, Arizona Adventure. Check it out. It's 3 different ways you can win. You got the OG tickets. This is just scratchers. They've got 3 iconic landscapes from Arizona on them, including Picacho Peak, Monument Valley, Camelback Mountain. Those tickets, you can win up to $50,000. Unbelievable way to win prizes there. Also, you can do their geolocated check-ins. Adventures 10 destinations across the state, from Flagstaff to my beloved Yuma, down to Tucson. They 10 different locations. It's unbelievable. Go to azadventure.com for details and directions. You can order or enter tickets online for a chance to win $1 million cash in Arizona travel prizes. Go to Arizona Lottery, azadventure.com for more information on how you can take an adventure for a chance to win $1 million of cash in Arizona travel prizes.
Topic 64, friend of the program, back and better than ever. Super chat $4.99. What wide receiver, Bo, will the Cardinals draft in the 3rd round that will help Marvin Harrison Jr.? I think whomever that is, topic 64, they have to play the slot, because you've got Marvin, you've got Michael Wilson. Those are your primary outside receivers. I wouldn't take a 3rd rounder as a developmental depth piece at the outside receivers as an X. Mm-hmm. I'm going slot. I think, again, this is the name that we've used. I think Xavier Legette is perfect for what they want to do. SEC big-time player, 1,300 yards, physical. Is not going to blow you away with the physical traits in terms of like what he's tested at the combine. He's just a good football player. And if you get Xavier Legette in the 3rd round at like the Tennessee pick or the Cardinals' own 3rd pick, or even, God forbid, the Houston pick, and he comes in here and is just like, yeah, I'm just going to platoon with Greg Dortch for a year. I'm going to learn the tricks of the trade. I think that's a really nice trio then moving forward with Michael Wilson and Marvin Harrison Jr., because they all do things differently, that nobody has the same skill set. And I like that. I like the diversity in my receiving core.
Yeah, Xavier Legette's nice. I've got 2 more names for you. How about Roman Wilson from Michigan? I like him at 6 feet. He's a guy he's confessed his love of run blocking. I think that he can run a couple different route trees. And then I like Ricky Pearsall, the local kid out of Corona. Finished up at Florida via Arizona State. I like Ricky Pearsall. He's unbelievably athletic. He's a smooth route runner. He's got good hands. I really like him as a potential day 2 pick at the wide receiver position for the Arizona Cardinals.
Mel Kiper Jr. saying recently Xavier Legette he thinks is going to go in the first round. So, I mean, if again, it underscores the emphasis that Cardinal fans get your receiver and get him early.
I think I'd take Pearsall over Legette.
I would take Pearsall over Legette too.
Yeah.
I was going to say the same thing. A first round pick on Legette, I would be sick to my
Well, we know
stomach.
why Damon like. We know why Damon. We know why you like him. Share why you like him.
Because I watched them with my eyes.
Yeah,
and one was significantly better than the other one.
Because he went to U of A. That's why Damon likes him.
No, he went to ASU.
No.
He went to ASU. Oh, okay, my bad.
Bo, you saw the same thing that I did in Mobile, didn't you? Ricky Pearsall was out there cooking. Xavier Legette looked great in pads, but in shorts, but he wasn't making plays.
Xavier Legette is a fine prospect. I think that
you basically called him undrafted, an undrafted free agent.
He's a little bit better. There was some Legette gets real physical, and then he tries to get separation that he doesn't necessarily find on the playing field. Where I see Pearsall, just his smooth route running gets the separation that you want. It's fine. I mean, it's a casual approach versus maybe a kind of somebody that was there scouting,
grinding the tape.
Oh, you throw your Senior Bowl credentials in my face. This is gross. I don't like that. Get back on track here with more action from the Gannon presser today with Monti Ossenfort. Now, let's talk a little MHJ because unbeknownst to a lot of Cardinal fans, Ohio State's Pro Day was today. No one participated. We touched on it earlier. Marvin hasn't participated in anything this offseason. No one's seen him. No one's heard from him. He hasn't given a statement, nothing. I think he's just, will he even show up to the NFL draft at this point and hold up a jersey? That remains to be seen. Speaking of draft, our guy Merv, he got his tickets to the Cardinals draft party. How you doing? Just use that as a transition. Draft party, Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Get your tickets. We'll talk about that more here in a second. But, Bo, any concern with Marv not participating at the Pro Day?
No. Like you said, he's a different beast. He really is. I mean, this is a guy that if he was in last year's draft, I still think he's the top wide receiver off the board, if not the top non-quarterback in the class. I mean, what does he have to prove? It's not the Florio tinfoil hat, stupid take saying, well, what if he ran a 4.6? What if he's a 4.6 guy? You've seen everything you need to see from Marvin Harrison Jr. He's played 2 seasons at a very high level, and he has nothing to lose or gain from this process. And for him to just focus on getting ready for his next team, wherever it may be, whether it's the team selecting 4th or 5th or 6th, wherever it may be, he's prepping for it. I think he's taken his stint, his tenure in Columbus at Ohio State was the stepping stone, and he used it and maxed it out to the most of his ability. And he's got players like Paris Johnson Jr. saying that even compared to the other first-round receivers that came out of Ohio State, this guy outworks those guys. This guy is just a different breed. And then you watch the tape where he's catching passes from C.J. Stroud, or he's catching passes from a rag arm like Kyle McCord, who's now at Syracuse. He's making plays. He's single-handedly taking over games that Ohio State probably didn't have business being in that game with Michigan like they did at the end of the season.
Kyle McCord, future quarterback of the Denver Broncos, maybe. Let's talk a little bit about Marvin Harrison Jr. from the man himself, Monti Ossenfort. He spoke today, Bo, to you and the rest of the media about how the Cardinals feel about Marvin basically opting out this offseason.
Yeah, and I think, with all these, all the spring prep and the draft prep, I think that's really a personal decision that, that players have to make. Hey, I'm a big fan of the more good information that we can have in the draft process, the better. But it's not going to be the first time that that a player doesn't check off every box for the spring process. It won't be the last time. It's in Marvin's case, it's his decision, what he thought was best for him. And so, we respect that, and we'll continue our evaluation process, not only on him, but every draft prospect. And, we'll evaluate the best we can with the information that we have.
They don't seem too concerned. When we talked to JG, he didn't seem it feels like they feel pretty confident in their evaluation of Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, I mean, special prospects get special circumstances. That's just the way of life. Like, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, like Caleb Williams didn't do physicals for other teams at the draft because he's like, I'm not getting drafted by the rest of you people. I'm going to Chicago and like a couple other teams. So like these players are empowered. It's great to see. Selfishly, like we wanted to talk to Marvin at the combine. He stiffed your boys, but that's okay because, you know, we hope we have more opportunities to talk to him. And in all seriousness, like it does not matter. Like Kyler Murray didn't run a 40 time. Kyler Murray's speed translated to the NFL just fine. Like, did anybody question whether or not Kyler Murray was like sub 4.4? No. Like, you just put the game tape on. And I think what the NFL draft process in the offseason is there to do is to reaffirm what you saw in college football. But here's the thing. Marvin Harrison Jr. has been dominating college football for 2.5 years and unequivocally would have been the top receiver, as you mentioned, last year and is the best player out of the last 2 drafts. So, again, if you get that label slapped on you, like I remember Julio Jones participating in the combine because what did he want to do? He wanted to overtake AJ Green. Now he didn't end up doing that in terms of where he was drafted, but he came out and was basically like, I'm going to put on a performance because I want to show everybody that I'm better than AJ Green. Like he didn't come out and say that, but that was the narrative. Like Marvin Harrison Jr., even with this kind of stale phone narrative that maybe he's not the best, like people know he's the best. He's been anointed in mock drafts for the better part of about 18 months. So it's like, I think he feels good and confident enough in his ability just to say, like, I'll see you at rookie training camp. I'll see you at mini camp.
Malik Neighbors didn't participate in the combine as well. I mean, he spoke. He at least spoke. It took his time on the podium. Right. But, like, the only thing that – and Neighbors is probably the guy who's the only argument that people are trying to make against Marvin Harrison Jr., and the only thing they have to go off is last year's tape. Like Neighbors didn't emerge until this past season. And if it's going to be a battle of tapes, Marvin Harrison Jr. wins that. It's just the prospect fatigue that people go through. It's just like, if you really want to get on and die on that hill, you can do it. But at the end of the day, if you want to pit tape against each other, Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to win that 100 times out of 100.
He's 4 inches taller. He played with significantly less of a talented quarterback this year. Not last year. He had Stroud last year. If he had CJ Stroud this year, like, would he have been the Heisman winner? Like, there are people around Columbus that are like, we probably robbed Marvin Harrison Jr. of a Heisman trophy, given of like the caliber of quarterback he played with. Then on the flip side, Malik Neighbors played with the Heisman winner in Jaden Daniels. Right. Like, what does Marvin Harrison Jr. do with Jaden Daniels? And you could say, like, well, Malik faced better competition in the SEC. I'll give you that. I think they're better defensive back play, better linebacker safety play in the SEC. But again, I also watched Marvin Harrison Jr. tear apart Jim Harbaugh's secondary in what was probably the most competitive game outside Alabama that Michigan faced this year. And Marvin almost won that game by himself against Michigan. And probably they win the national championship 2 years ago if Georgia doesn't have to cheap shot him out of that semifinal game. So, I mean, he has his imprint all over the big time matchups and the best games of college football over the past 2 years. Like, it's like, what more does he need to prove? I don't think he has to prove anything.
No. All he's doing is having fun on Twitter, liking tweets. Our guy Alex.
Welcome, friend.
Our guy Alex put out a tweet that he's just out there. What was his tweet? He said
basically, like, so we joke around and overreact on this show that Marvin likes tweets about the Cardinals, and then yesterday he's liking tweets about the Chargers. So then our guy Alex, who's a great writer, go check him out, basically tweeted out just outright, like, debunking that narrative, which is totally fine. Do what you want to do, tongue in cheek. And then Marvin liked that comment, basically saying, like, don't read too much into Marvin's likes. This world, man, this Twitter world, it's
we got Killer Rack saying that Marvin wants to be in LA instead of AZ now because he's like one damn Chargers tweet where they say they got 2 guys in their wide receiver room and it's Damon and you.
I think, it is me and Damon. I think Marvin would play with Kyler Murray or Justin Herbert. Newsflash, he'd play with a good quarterback. I think on the West Coast, right? I don't see him liking too many Patriots tweets of the people holding out hope. It's like the Justin Fields cult. It's the Patriots cult of hoping that Marvin's going to be a New England Patriot. Like, give that up, people. It's over.
It's done. We got some more super chats jumping in here. Looks like Adam C, $4.99. Congratulate him on his 3rd super chat here. Given the draft capital we already have, everyone else can kick rocks. We can trade down with 35 or one of the 3rd round picks. MHJ needs to be a card.
I would say that is the overwhelming response from the fan base right now. And you're not wrong for thinking that. The Cardinals may not feel that way, Adam, but you're not wrong in thinking that.
If the Arizona Cardinals were to trade down, it would be for another massive hole, much like last year. And we outline what it needs to be. And it would be 3 firsts. It would be 11, 23. It would be a 2025 first. And then as Johnny just said, probably a sweetener in the likes of a day 2, early day 3 pick. So, I mean, that's what the asking price is. And if you get that, that helps you as far as team building now, and it helps you with team building in the future. And let's not fool ourselves. This is a team that's in year 2 of the rebuild. There's a ton of momentum. There's been the number one thing was the culture change, the culture shift, the culture shock. But now they are infusing this roster with talent. And, a trade down gives you every bit of ability, if not more, to really continue to rebuild this roster. And it's coming from somebody who is pro Marv being a Cardinal.
Jonathan Rojas, $1.99 super chat. Johnny, I'm not 21. Help me sneak into the draft party. You want me to just get a big trench coat? Here's what I will say. I was thinking about this. So our draft party, Gila River Resorts and Casinos, first night of the draft, Thursday, April 24th, starts at 4 p.m. April 25th.
25th. Yeah.
April 25th.
You're starting to see people in the night before, though, I think.
That's right.
Isn't that right?
Yes. Gila River Resorts and Casinos. It's going to be a banner time. Free food, free drink with entry. You get your tickets. It's taken care of. Plus, we're going to have giveaways. We're going to be live, wire to wire, from the first round all the way to the third round the next day. But I was thinking about something recently where the 21 years and up, I think there might be a small loophole with that. So I'm gonna don't like I can't come out and say anything.
This is a bad idea.
Yeah. No. Can't come out and say anything. Something that was told to me by Gila River Resorts and Casinos personnel. So if you came to any of our watch parties, there were some blackjack tables up there. Damon, you remember those, right?
Of course.
And the reason why that they said at the time for our watch parties was if those were present, thus if you had to be 21 or up to be over there, even if there wasn't anybody doing those table games, if those are said to be removed during the draft party, does that change things? So I will let the folks know definitively and follow up on that. So there's I'm not doing anything illegal. I'm just trying, we're doing some stuff. We're trying to make sure everybody can have a good experience, whether you're streaming our draft show at home, which is set to be our biggest show of all time, or you're at Gila River Resorts and Casinos.
Looking for loopholes. Always looking to hack the system and kind of grift your way around. And it's for the people. That's what it's about.
It's never for me. I am one of the most humble people, if not the most humble person you'll ever meet. And everything I do is for others.
Back to humblest.
Yeah. Yes.
People say he's humble, if not the humblest.
It's Wild Horse Pass, Gila River Resorts and Casinos. We're going to drop the ticket link below right now. And I think, what's max capacity for that? Do we know?
Well, we'd love to get at least 100 people in there for the draft party. And we're making our way. We're close. I think we're halfway there. So I think maybe 150. So if you want to get in, you got to get in now. That's all I'm saying.
Tom's saying the steak humbled Johnny. That's not true. I humbled that steak.
Yeah, we have 100. About half are left.
Half. Okay.
That's super cute. I love those numbers. I love these numbers. We got 556 watching live. You guys took care of your boys yesterday. We got over 500 likes for the first time in the history of the show. Let's do it again today. Double dip. Everybody hit a like on this show right now. It helps grow the show, grow the audience, and grow support for our precious Arizona Cardinals. And speaking of the Cardinals,
you leave a like. Johnny's going to try to find another way to sneak you into the draft party if you're not of age.
There is nothing I won't do for the diehards. Nothing. What will Jonathan Gannon do for his starters? So what's really funny is Bo sent me this clip today. Gannon basically sits down and is like, everybody shut your mouths. I'm going to put this to bed right now. I don't know where anybody's playing. I don't want to hear about depth charts, position changes. This is Jonathan Gannon basically unfiltered, like, guys, don't even ask me.
Right. Well, I will say, let me debunk that a little bit. Not to be a
that's not true at all.
Jonathan Gannon came in with just it was electric when he came in the room. Like the guy was basically just kind of raising the roof and saying, let's LFG, let's go on this press conference that we're having.
Yeah.
He brought the juice as he always does. But Damon, we've got a clip where he was asked about Jonah Williams and Paris Johnson Jr. and what potential positions those guys could play. Left tackle, right tackle. This was his answer.
Because you guys are going to ask me 132 times. We will know who's playing where the Friday before we play week 1. So when you guys ask me, where's this guy playing? Who's the starters? What are we doing? Blah, blah, blah. I don't know, guys. So you'll see week 1.
Makes you think of that clip, Nick Saban on the sideline with the reporter. Like, don't stop asking me. But he's debunking that right now because it's true. They don't know where they're going to play. It's
Do you
true.
believe that?
Yes.
I think that they have an idea of what the plan is. They have an idea of when OTAs begin. Paris Johnson Jr. is going to be in one spot, and Jonah Williams is going to be in the next spot. Now, does that play its way all the way to week 1? But we're going to have a damn good idea of where these guys are going to be. It's not Friday. It's a bit far-fetched from Friday before the Sunday of
no, I don't think that. But I think right now today they want to go and throw the pads on and see how everybody looks.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying they won't know until the Friday before.
But they had an idea when they were talking to Jonah Williams. Like, I think Jonah Williams has an idea of where he wants to play. Monti Ossenfort has a view of where he thinks he fits best and where Paris Johnson Jr. fits best, and Jonathan Gannon and Drew Petzing. They all have their ideas, their initial thoughts on it. But sure, yeah. I mean, JG's a guy that wants to see it on grass play out before he makes an ultimate decision. But to say like, hey, we're not going to know until the Friday before the season opener.
I think I'm just pushing back from like like I've seen a lot of this on Twitter. The same people who are emphatic about guys playing here and this is his role are the same people, Bo, that told us that Paris Johnson Jr. was going to play guard year 1. Guess what? That didn't happen. And this show told you that. And the same people that said Colt McCoy's still starting week 1, even after they acquired Joshua Dobbs. So be careful with what you choose to believe, whatever you want, but just take caution in, as a matter of fact, this is what's happening today. Cause I'm sitting here telling you
preconceived,
right.
As far as that, right? I think that Jonah Williams is probably going to get the first crack at left tackle while they like the continuity of Paris Johnson Jr. at right tackle.
Agreed. That's why I love Paris Johnson Jr. I don't think there's anything wrong with taking him top 6 and keeping him a right tackle in today's NFL. Like you're gonna pay him big money regardless. And if he loves Lane Johnson and studies Lane Johnson's tape, guess what position Lane Johnson plays? Right tackle. They could get a left tackle still in this draft, and they could have Jonah Williams be the baton passer. Listen, folks, here's the skinny of it all. And we don't have the clip. They talked about DJ Humphries today, and they were gutted with what happened to him. It was brutal. If DJ Humphries was on this team this year, he wouldn't be playing right tackle. He'd be playing left tackle again. Guess that's where Paris Johnson Jr. would be playing. Guess where Jonah Williams enjoys playing? Left tackle. So everybody's running to conclusions, and we got to connect the dots. Let's just wait. And Paris Johnson Jr. was borderline dominant at right tackle at the end of next year. Like, why are we rushing to make a change?
It was the best tag team duo, maybe on a right side of an offensive line. Yeah, between him and Will Hernandez and Paris Johnson Jr. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I understand that you need to upgrade the left side, and we'll see. We'll see where Jonah Williams fits in, and Evan Brown, who they just signed yesterday. That deal went official today. Elijah Wilkinson's in their plans. Yellow Froholt. Jonathan Gaines is probably in the mix, and then whoever they tab, in the draft, maybe from starting with 27 and beyond. So there's a lot to figure out. I agree with that, but also that there isn't some sort of plan that they've got initial plan in how they're going to work in Jonah Williams and Paris Johnson Jr. That's where I'll say, you guys are just playing around. You're playing coy.
Jeremy, $2 super chat here. 500 likes for the first time deserves a super chat. I think it was the first time on this show, and you helped us get there. We appreciate you. I appreciate that, Avatar. Because I know what it's from. I'm probably mocking Nick Sirianni and probably Philadelphia Eagles. Thank you, Jeremy. We appreciate that. Aiden, back to football. $4.99. Chargers trade with Minnesota. First year GM getting picks like Monty got. I think that's possible. It's not going to happen until they're on the clock, though. And we outlined it, Bo, because again, if the Giants want to come up for JJ McCarthy and the Chargers do a trade with Minnesota before the draft, guess what? Then it's, hey, let's make a deal. Just throw us one pick. Yeah. We'll go back 2 spots. And then what do the Vikings do? That's a fireable offense by the Minnesota Vikings, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's I think what Monti Ossenfort was outlining today is between now and especially next week, when front office execs, the head coaches, and ownership all go to Orlando, Florida for the league meetings, and there's going to be face-to-face conversations and negotiations. It's not going to be an actual deal. It's going to be the framework of a deal, because there is so much to be figured out. Like, as much as we think we know what's going to happen 1, 2, 3, it really, like, to try to say that's a sure thing with a team that's going to part ways with like an unbelievable amount of draft capital. That's just that would be bad business from any general manager standpoint. But the framework is being worked on.
Yeah. I still think there's a chance if they do a pre-draft deal, it could be with the Cardinals, but yeah, closer to the draft itself. YouTube user, Giants don't have the picks to trade with us. I think in terms of like a huge haul, no, but I think if you're dead set on trading, and if you're Ossenfort and you love Marvin, but you have another prospect like 1B to Marvin, you could get the Giants 2 and another pick, and I think they would do that. I mean, like, going down from 4 to 6, and this is, no shit, Johnny, is easier to stomach than going from 4 to 11. I mean, it's just, you're playing a completely different sandbox, and if you can add a top 50 pick to that, and they love the prospect, because we know, YouTube user, McCarthy's going to go in there somewhere. So really, you're just missing out on Marvin. But then the entire realm of the blue chippers open back up, because we've got 4 quarterbacks going top 4, presumably in that scenario, or 4 out of 5. Then you lose Marvin, Joe Alt's on the table again, Fuaga, Fashanu, Adunzi, Neighbors, Dallas Turner. None of them are Marvin, and we get that. But you add one of them plus a 2nd-round pick from a team like the Giants, who was awful last year. Yeah. And then even, like, you could probably get a 4th with that, or even a 3rd. Like, that's the, if you're going to trade, that's the appealing trade, in my opinion.
Even though we took a flamethrower to Daniel Jeremiah's projected trade down for the Cardinals, we do have a lot of respect for him as an NFL draft analyst. And, when he looks at this, it keeps you in striking distance, as we've said a couple times today, of a position of need at the wide receiver spot, albeit not Marvin Harrison Jr., but guys that he said are in the conversation for the top 3 players in the draft. And I'm talking about Neighbors and Adunze. It's probably, I'm sure Daniel Jeremiah's got it ranked in some no order, I guess. We'll say Marvin Harrison Jr., Caleb Williams, Neighbors, Adunze. Yeah. As the top 4 players in the draft. And you could be in a prime spot to get one of those guys. Not Caleb, and probably not Marvin.
Yeah, I think after the
Giants have the 6th overall pick, which you swap, and then they've got a 2nd-round pick from Seattle, 47th overall.
That would have to be included.
And then they've got the 70th overall pick in the 3rd round, their own 3rd rounder.
I would say if you're coming up for your franchise quarterback, Minnesota Vikings, you are giving your first 3 picks up to the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah,
that has to be. Because if Osford is like, I'll just gift him to Minnesota, you're in the same conference. Good luck with Bo Nix, Michael Penix, or whomever you end up having to trade up for later. In terms of dealing up for a QB, if you're the Giants and you think Brian Daboll's good, which he is, and you're going to be back into like respectability at some point, when's the next time you're going to be picking 6th? Because we know JJ McCarthy would probably start for them day 1. You give up 6 and you give up the 2nd and 3rd rounder. And I think that gets it done. If they're sweating trading an extra 3rd for their franchise quarterback, like, then you're not a serious team. I don't take you seriously.
It's really going to be interesting to see what the Giants do. Did you see it's 2 different things here. It's apples and oranges. Like the reports when they talked to Russell Wilson, they weren't even willing to say, hey, you could be the starting quarterback for the team. Like they were still set on Danny Dimes.
I mean, I think that's their ownership driving that, though.
Yeah.
Like their GM, their head coach, I feel like they were ready to move on. But you've got two teams in the Vikings. The Vikings are incredibly desperate. They have Sam Darnold on a 1-year deal. Like, what are you doing there? And then, of course, the Giants, the only thing that's prohibiting them from doing anything long-term is they paid Daniel Jones, which was stupid. But you can get out of that contract after this year. I think the Broncos, if they had assets, would be in play too. Some of these teams just don't have assets. So I don't know. Like, here's the good news for the Cardinals. You don't need a quarterback. You have extra picks, so you could afford to pass on a haul if you wanted to. But if the haul makes sense, just like Ossenfort said today, I still think we're going to get to a point where Monti Ossenfort is going to look at this roster and he's going to see it's improved, but there's talent deficiencies. If this is the best draft in 3 to 5 years in terms of depth, I don't know. Is he going to have to get talked back into taking Marvin if there are multiple good options on the table? Like he's going to have to sit down with Gannon and Drew Petzing and Dave Sears and say, if we take Marvin Harrison Jr., what's our ceiling this year? Whereas if we have these extra 3 to 4 picks, what can we do with them to help us win now? Because the goal is still to win this year.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's also to put and continue to work and build the machine that is going to be sustainable success. And it's more than adding the prospects to your roster this draft. It's also starting off next draft season with 2 firsts that you have a stranglehold on. And now, I mean, I know you're talking hopefully late teens to early 20s, at least with your own pick. And then probably, as you said yesterday, with the infrastructure in place, as we talk about Minnesota being the destination for the potential 4th overall pick, it being JJ McCarthy. Like, even if he struggles, that's a good team in the division that isn't like wide open, but you can win some games with a rookie quarterback with the right game plan. And Kevin O'Connell's I think people have got confidence in him to do so.
I got confidence. Yeah. Mr. Dobbs, the Pastronaut. I've got confidence in my friends at Game Time. Right now, we're going to hook you up $20 off your first purchase with bonus code PHNX. And again, Game Time, it does last-minute tickets, the lowest price guaranteed, but not just for sporting events. If you've taken your spouse, your significant other out, date night, how about comedy show? How about a concert, live events, whatever you want, anything that can have a semblance of a ticket. I'm talking about like even Disney on Ice for your kids. Game Time is going to hook you up. $20 off your first purchase. It is the best place for upcoming concerts, games that you want to go to, and it's the best place, again, for last-minute ticket deals. We mentioned some other ticketing sites on this show once upon a time, not as partners of this program, but our frustration, right? We all feel that frustration of added fees, right? And you think you're paying a certain amount, and then boom, it hits you with a right hook of, oh, actually, we need more money. That ain't Game Time. Plus, if you use the bonus code PHNX, we're going to get money off for you. $20 off your first purchase. Hell, that might pay for your entire ticket, depending on what you're checking out. On top of tickets, they've got parking passes. They've got flash deals. They've got deals up and through the first or second quarter of specific contests. So if you're like, oh, yeah, I really want to check out the second half of Suns matchup, maybe a playoff game, check out Game Time right now. Download the Game Time app today. Terms and conditions apply. Create your account, redeem it with that bonus code PHNXPO.
Yeah, I hope Monti Ossenfort operates like those traditional ticket operations where you get to the end of it and you're like, I'm getting a couple of tickets for $100 a piece. And it's like, nope, you got the quarterback tax in there. You got the We Love Marvin Harrison Jr. tax in there. It's going to cost you not $200 for $200 tickets. It's going to cost you $1,000. You're not going to get that with Game Time. There's no sneaky hidden fees there. It's straightforward, and you get $20 off with PHNX, the promo code. Gila River Resorts and Casinos, we already talked about them as the destination for our draft party. Join us April 25th at Gila River Resorts and Casinos at Wild Horse Palace out there. It's going to be electric, but if you haven't checked them out, it's a little taste of Vegas and then some. They take the next level take you to the next level. And nobody does it better. It's an authentic and immersive experience, from the gaming tables to the sports books to the restaurants. Anything and everything that you want out of your casino experience, they've got it at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. They'll show you what the next level's all about. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Learn more. Visit playGila.com. That's Gila with a G for more details.
We love our friends at Gila River Resorts. We love our friends in the chat. Speaking of chat, we got some super chats here. Albert, $5. How about this opinion? Marvin absolutely has to be a Hall of Fame level player for Monty to turn down potentially a massive haul. If he's just a Pro Bowler, Arizona comes out the loser. Well, I think they come out the loser if they also, if they take the package and then they don't hit on their picks, then they're the loser. But yeah. Albert, it's the comparison that I've made for like a week now since this trade became a reality with Minnesota, a possibility, I should say. If Marvin is CeeDee Lamb and he makes like 4 to 6 Pro Bowls, Hall of very good, right, on a team that hasn't won anything in Dallas, compared to taking 3 to 4 picks, additionally high-level picks, and you're making those guys into Pro Bowlers at maybe more premium of a position, absolutely. But I think Marvin is a Hall of Fame level prospect. I've been saying that for a year. Do the Cardinals feel that way? I don't know.
There's so many variables that go into that. I mean, if he comes out and he's a guy that elevates the offense and can play with Kyler Murray and can do more than what we saw with Hollywood Brown running the wide receiver route tree, and yep. he's that 6'4" guy that this offense craved down the stretch, where they were a top 10 offense even without top notch play at the wide receiver position. Like, I think he's worth it. I view this as a win-win. You win if you stick and pick with Marvin Harrison Jr. You get a guy that is going to elevate your offense, bolster your offense, and he's going to sell tickets. He's going to create an excitement level that is nearly unmatched in this draft outside of Caleb Williams, right? Yeah. Adding him to your roster. But then you've got the ability to find a consistent way and create a machine that is nearly impossible to stop. That even if you miss on your pick, you got another first from the Minnesota Vikings, whoever it is, next year. And Monti Ossenfort has a pretty high batting average already. So you think if you load him up with 3 first-round picks, he already owns this draft, but can continue to in future drafts. So it's not your damned if you do. Like, you're just good if you do. You're good if you don't.
You should be able to maximize either. That's the point. You should be able to take advantage of either situation.
And I think that's what Monti Ossenfort's talking about. Whether it's the 3rd pick last year and where their organization was at that point, and things have changed, and he admitted so. Like, they're in a different space now, a better space. That they're here with the 4th pick and the 27th pick and 11 overall picks, right? That they're going to look to maximize each and every time they're on the clock. And if it's sticking and picking the prospect that's available, or it's trading down, and it's it's not just trading out of 4. It's not just they could potentially trade out of 27 or up from 27. And I think people are concerned that lightning can't strike twice again with this organization, where it did. Not only did he trade down last year, he traded back up. And that's a scenario that it's tough. It's almost unrealistic to think it could happen again, but the guy's already done it once.
I think they trade up unequivocally if they traded down. I think 23 or 27, you're going up to get somebody. Jalen Blair, $10. We appreciate you, Jalen Blair, friend of the program, the support on that level. You would think Monty and JG both know the value of an elite receiver. Monty saw trading A.J. Brown. It killed the Titans, got everybody fired. I agree with that. And JG on the other side saw him elevate the Eagles offense and help them get to a Super Bowl. Yeah, you need a number 1 receiver in today's NFL. But I think the pushback they would say is A.J. Brown was kind of the icing on the cake to get them to the Super Bowl when that team was ready to go there. The Titans were kind of a middling team with A.J. Brown. They weren't winning much with him. I think the Cardinals, it's the reason why we've said from the beginning, Bo, they view him as the exception. If they take him, it's not how they traditionally want a team build, but it's just too good to pass up. Ideally, it's okay, our line of scrimmage are fortified. We've got our pass rushers. We've got a number 1 corner. Our tackles look good. Okay, now go get the receiver, right?
Yeah.
And now Jamar Chase, as a rookie, can take the Bengals to the Super Bowl when their defense is ready to go. And now A.J. Brown can take the Eagles to a Super Bowl. I think that's how they would prefer to do it. But beggars can't be choosers. You can't say to yourself, well, I'm going to force this, even though we're not in a position to support a young wide receiver, which they are. They're not New England. If he's the best player and his ceiling eclipses what you're going to get in a trade offer, you absolutely take him.
Yeah. Well, and the biggest mistake that Tennessee made was they thought that they could trade A.J. Brown and immediately replace him with a draft pick. It's absurd. And it was a guy at 16th overall and Treylon Burks.
I was a fan.
And we were right. It was a mid wide receiver class at the end of the day. Like it had some impressive guys, the guys from Ohio State and
Olave was great.
And Olave. And then there were teams that were reaching, like Washington with Jahan Dotson, who's fine, right? He's fine. And Treylon Burks, who's not fine. What's that?
Johan Dotson.
Yeah, sorry. Johan.
The soft J.
Yeah, he's a clogger in his spare time. He likes to clog dance, Johan. But there were teams, like there was a run that I don't think anybody foresaw, and Tennessee Titans, they misplayed it horrifically, and they're paying dearly for it and cost everybody their jobs. But I don't think it's the exact same situation. Like I think they understand the value of it, but I think they also understand, and they've shown so far, at least with one selection at 96th overall, that they can find talent beyond the first round at the wide receiver position.
Cardinals finding value in meeting with some of the top receiving prospects. So according to Tony Pauline, Cardinals met with Brendan Rice of USC. And then, of course, as you mentioned, and the chat, Xavier Worthy's taking a visit with the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals doing their due diligence on this budding receiving core in the upcoming 2024 NFL draft that, believe it or not, does span beyond Marvin Harrison Jr. We talked about that. Are you surprised, Bo, with how many receivers they're meeting with, presumably that are going to be top 1 to 2 round prospects?
No, it's a loaded class. And it's like the debate we had earlier in the show where it's like, I like Ricky Pearsall. You like Xavier Legette. He's a lad's lad. He's Lads McConkey's president of his fan club. And it's a deep
take
class.
a bullet for that guy.
You would. You're a ride or die with McConkey. I think that you have to get to know these prospects because the tape's out there. You see what they've done as far as the pre-draft at Senior Bowl, Shrine Bowl, Combine, but you need to get to know the prospects because what do the Cardinals really want to understand and know about these players? Do they love ball? And I think that's what they want to kind of figure out beyond some of the top tier guys that they spend a lot of time with in formal interviews. I think they want to get in and really figure out, like, Brendan Rice, a kid that played his high school ball here at Hamilton locally and then went on to Colorado and then USC, and he emerged with Caleb Williams last year, showed some physicality at the Senior Bowl, but is he a guy that's going to continue to trend upwards? And I think they need to figure that out for themselves with these interviews and really kind of having them in the facility here in Arizona, whining and dining them and really getting to know the player.
Next super chat, Husky Nation, $9.99, 2 extra firsts, with one of them being in 2025. We have no idea where it'll end up. Isn't worth passing on Marvin. I'm going to be so pissed if they make this trade. Love you guys, daily content. I appreciate you, Husky Nation. I think you speak.
I think that's a Hamilton. Isn't that a Hamilton Husky logo right there?
It is.
Nice. Repping Hamilton. Awesome. I
Brendan Rice.
To that.
Brendan Rice. My niece is graduating from Hamilton at the in this spring.
Connect the dots.
Yeah.
What does that tell you?
Is that your
Cardinal?
niece in the chat?
Cardinal. 2 extra firsts with one of them in 2025. I have no idea where it end up. Worth passing on Marvin. It's not going to. Yeah. I mean, I get it. I do. It's as we watched it play out. It was a nightmare each and every week to watch CJ Stroud march the Texans down for another game-winning drive, and that. What we thought our money tracker where we thought we were going to have a lot of Houston losses, and we didn't. They made their way to a divisional round. But I think assets are assets, and a first round pick remains an asset. A future or a first round pick this year. I just think that Monti Ossenfort, he sees as an opportunity to either to improve his football team consistently.
Tell you what's an asset, becoming a diehard, go PHNX.com.
You didn't answer it, though.
I did answer it.
Oh, sorry. What'd you say?
I don't think that's worth it. I've said from the beginning, I don't think 3-1s is enough for me.
Okay. It's tough though.
11-23 in next year's one, because it's not. You're swapping, as Husky Nation said. You're swapping 4 and 11. That's I'm getting 3 first rounders.
You're 4 and 11. Yeah, you're swapping 4 and 11.
You're diluting my premium pick into later picks. There is 100% chance that none of the picks that I get from the Minnesota Vikings are going to be top 4. The Vikings aren't going to pick top 4 next year.
But I'm taking it from the Monti Ossenfort approach, and I don't think he's slotting.
He's your boy.
I don't think he's slotting those picks. He's got a good idea of who could have a good football team, but first round picks are appealing to other football teams, the other 31 football teams. It's currency, and if you load up on currency, you can when you take care of business as far as this year's draft and your 11 selections or more, and then you set yourself up, financially, and you diversify your portfolio a little bit with some future picks. You're in a good spot.
I'm sure they're thinking too, is this the last time we're going to be able to do this?
You would hope.
Last year, and it's like, if we're talking about the Cardinals trading out of like a top 5 pick next year, 2024 has gone horribly wrong. It's like, oh man, what happened to Kyler Murray? What's going on with our boy JG? Like, if this is probably it. So that factors into it. But it's also the only time, in my opinion, you're going to get a chance on a caliber player, Marvin Harrison Jr., and they don't fall to the 20s.
Yeah.
This is a Randy Moss 2.0. Kareem Rodriguez, $1.99 super sticker, followed by a $1.99 super chat. Thank you so much, Kareem. If we trade down, I'm throwing my TV out the window. We'll just come to the draft party if you can, Kareem, and you can throw ball rounds.
No, we're not going to vandalize our sweet setup for the draft party. We'll never be asked back.
I feel like the draft party can be comforting for people because it's all going to be Cardinal fans. We're going to go through these emotions together, and we're going to adjust. We're going to adapt, right? Like I'm worried about you. I don't want you around some Niner fans at a sports bar.
Upset. Yeah.
Come be around your Cardinal faithful, PHNX Cardinals at Gila River Resorts. We'll take care of you. So there's no throwing at the TV. Fishbowl Flash, $5. Since the Chargers let go of everyone, what if they're also out on Herbert and trade up for JJ and we still get Marvin in draft capital, or just pass a stick and pick? I can tell you Jim Harbaugh loves
Justin Herbert. What's not to love?
Right.
Big 6'5" strong-armed quarterback that they have locked in. I don't think they can move off of Justin Herbert. Let me just do a little quick Google search on his contract, which hasn't kicked in just yet. He's got one more year.
Herbs and Harbs, they're going to be together for the next 10 years, I think. Herbert stays healthy. That's going to be a good match made in heaven. They got to get Blake Corum in the backfield, though.
He's got $129 million of dead cap attached to his deal this year. It ain't happened. He's
JJ McCarthy's not
immovable
a prospect that Justin Herbert was coming out.
The dead cap numbers for Herbert: 129, 110, 72. He's an LA Charger.
It would be poetic if Harbaugh got a big trade package from his former college quarterback, though. That'd be cool. Become a diehard. Go PHNX.com. Again, merch right now to get you fired up for draft season. Again, welcome to all of our new diehards over the past 4 to 6 weeks, dating back to the beginning of the off season. It's been a fabulous time to get to know all of you in the Discord, on the Twitter streets, and more. We appreciate all of you guys. And I can tell you right now, there is no better deal right now than becoming a diehard because of the access, the exclusivity, and the community. Become a diehard. Go PHNX.com. Become a diehard. Take a picture. Tag us. Retweet on Twitter. Instant follow from your boy, from PHNX Cardinals, from Bo Brack and company. You will not be sorry that you did. It's our growing community here at PHNX Sports. And man, I can't wait to see everybody at the draft party, especially our diehards and that community come together at one, Bo.
Yeah, it's not exclusive to diehards, but certainly helps out. And it continues the conversation. The chat during the show is electric.
Just putting a face to the name.
That's right. And then the conversation never ends when you have that exclusive access to the member Discord. Fun here at PHNX doesn't stop after this show. We've got a pregame show for PHNX Suns. PHNX D-backs is firing up as well. If you haven't checked out those shows, do yourself a favor and check out all our friends here on the network. Make sure you subscribe to PHNX Sports. Like this video. Let's continue to do it. Let's get up towards 400, 500 likes. Once again, you can give yourself, you're liking for yourself, basically. You like good things. You like good Cardinals conversation. We love being a part of this community. Can love to continue to share it around the YouTube algorithm and then some. Follow us on Twitter at Johnny Venerable, at Damon Dog, at Bo Brock, and at PHNX_Cardinals. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. And always remember, if there's breaking news, we'll drop an emergency pod. We'll be live again. So you want alerts set up. Of course, listen to us, subscribe to us, wherever you find your podcast. We'll talk to you on Thursday on PHNX Cardinals.
We all silly like the mayor.